Hello and welcome. My name is JodieLynn Craven, founder of Abundance Consciousness, and this is my dear friend, Heather Marie.
Hi, I'm Heather Marie, founder of Soulgate, and welcome to Channel Squared, where we have extraordinary conversations about everyday life topics.
Yeah, and today we are talking about the soul's origin, other realms, other species, the hierarchy of interdimensional beings, and how our humanness fits in. Are you ready for this?
Gosh, I sure hope so. Are you guys ready for this? Is the question.
Exactly. Are you guys ready for this? This is a really big topic. So I think we should start with, who is out there. We were already starting this with Quinn last week to talk a little bit about different species, different beings, but who's out there and is there some sort of hierarchy?
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many beings, right? We are definitely not alone in this great universe. No matter what somebody tries to tell you, we are not alone. I think the best place to jump in would probably be like the hierarchy. So when in all of the information that I have channeled, over the years, it's been a hierarchy that is sort of like a little bit like a corporate hierarchy. So the way that it's been explained to me is there's God, and then there is like kind of like a collective, right? That's sort of, sits to the right hand of God, or, works very closely with God, or is just like energies and vibrations of like emotions.
Mhm.
And then there is your, like your angelic realm, like your archangels. And then you have your ascended master guides, high selves, and then us. And so the way that I see that, or the way it's been shown to me, is that it's kind of like, God is like the owner slash CEO. And then that collective group would be like your vice presidents, your very high level executives. And then the next group being your archangels. These are your like executive managers. And then after the archangels, you have your ascended masters, and these are like your department heads. And then you have and then you have your master guides, and they are sort of like your like managers, like your people managers. And then you have your high selves and your master guides are kind of at the same level, and they're like your supervisors, like your get shit done, make the troops do what they need to do kind of group. And then you have the soul inside, which is the worker bee. So
Wow.
there you go.
Okay.
Hierarchy in 4 minutes.
The hierarchy of beings in 4 minutes or less. Wow, that's a lot to take in. Okay. Amazing. Um, the first question that comes up before we dive into our first incarnation and it not necessarily being human. Do the beings on the other side kind of observe this hierarchy like we would in a company?
Definitely. So I mean, and in fact, it's even more so. In a company, you can quit the job, you can go to a different company, you can do something else. There's nowhere to go except incarnation. you
Mm.
know so it's a little when they talk about free will or choice on the other side, and that there is no free will and there is no choice on the other side. Kind of. So there's really, when push comes to shove, there's no free will, doesn't exist, right? Like they don't have free will to just make their own decisions. There
Like
is
we
like kind
do.
of Right.
Yeah.
There's a governance there that is very firm. But that doesn't mean that they don't have the opportunity to make choices of, like, how they want to produce, how they want to evolve. The soul's evolution and the evolution of the beings, they have a choice of how they want to evolve and be also. So
Mm,
just because they're not incarnate, or they're not in a physical realm, it doesn't mean that they don't get to choose what they actually experience or what they actually become. It's that whole as above, so below, right?
mhm,
So, even though it may seem like, oh, because they don't have free will, they don't have any say so over their future, over what they're to become, over anything. The fact is that they still kind of do. They can just as easily go to God and say, hey, I want to go to earth and I want to teach everybody compassion.
mm,
And God says, yes, yes, you will. And you will incarnate as a fellow that they will call Jesus. And you will teach the earth compassion,
mhm,
right? And
mhm.
so he came, he taught the earth compassion, and he ascended to ascended mastery as a result. That was his payment for a job well done.
Mm.
So you see, it's kind of like that.
That pretty much sums it up. Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. Vicky was saying maybe a definition of what free will is down here on Earth, and what clued in or what dropped in for me is the definition's different there versus here, different planes. That kind of makes sense, right? I don't know the exact definition. I'm sure we could channel it, but if you want, we can.
We might.
We might. Yeah,
We might.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, free will down here is, even though you come here with a plan
Hmm.
and you come here for a certain purpose,
Hmm.
and you attempt to execute your plan and live your purpose and do all of that, you still in the moment get to choose yes or no, yes or no, yes or no.
Yeah.
So, when you're getting the nudge, hey, you need to get involved with this situation, and you're getting the nudge and you're like, yeah, I think I'll just, Netflix and chill instead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a free will choice, and that is a very different choice than, what it might be up there.
Hmm.
I have a hair
Yeah.
in my eye. Can anybody see it?
Yeah. Help me.
Help me get the hair out.
Amazing. Well, we
Yeah.
started talking about this conversation offside because we were talking about our first incarnation or the first incarnation of the soul. And what's interesting about that is that it might not be human. Doesn't mean that it wasn't. I mean, obviously, this lifetime you are human. You're here watching us and participating in the chat. So you did incarnate as a human, but our first iteration could have been to a different realm. And that is fascinating to me that we have, different realms like the fairy realm, then there's the angelic realm, and there's many more. I don't know all of them. Maybe you could fill in some of the blanks here of some of the other realms or species that are out there that our soul could have incarnated as.
Well, I mean, if we just let's just talk about ones that we know for sure exist because we're on the earth plane currently, and we know that they're here because we've seen them.
Okay.
Plants, animals, bugs, people,
Yep.
um, I don't know, like bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess bacteria would be considered a bug, maybe. I don't know, any scientists on here who can tell us if bacteria is in fact considered an insect? I don't think it is, but it might be, I'm not
No.
sure. But okay, so those are different realms, right? They're different species.
Mm-hmm.
So they're different species. And so I think sometimes people get confused about species and realm.
Yes.
So the way that I see species is just how I described, an animal, a plant, a person, an alien, whatever, right?
Yeah. When you think about
Those,
plants,
mhm,
there's the realm of plants, and that would be all of the plants. And then a species would be like a ficus versus a lily or a
right.
tree.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, your plant realm would be all things vegetation,
Hmm.
but species would be like specific, right?
Yeah.
So, however, it is still species when you're looking at the big picture, right? So when God looks at everything, source, creator, looks at everything and says, I need a species that is going to give of itself to nourish the humans and that is going to grow off of only sunlight and water and the little bugs in the soil. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm going to create a species that does that and it will be vegetation. Okay, because
Yeah.
in source's world, it's all species.
Right.
Everything is species, and it's only one realm, and that is the realm of the creator.
Mm.
Okay.
And then we complicate everything else.
Exactly, exactly. Really, it's quite simple. We're all just in the creator realm.
Yeah.
but but when we talk about like our first incarnations, you
Hmm.
know, our first incarnations, mine specifically, I'll speak specific to mine, you can speak specific to yours. Mine, I incarnated the first time and many times into the fairy realm. So I have a real like love and attachment to water. Water is a big deal to me. I have to be near water. Like just, I think I would die without water nearby, right? So it's like, I need a lake, I need a pool, I need a body of water, I need some kind of fountains. Like, I need these things because that moving water is just really important to me.
Hmm.
That speaks to my fairy soul. So my soul's first ever experience was in the experience of being part of the fairy realm, species, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I had multiple incarnations, into that realm, experiencing that species, basically being a human insect, right? I mean, I think that humans look at fairies and go, wow, are they bug or are they people? Right? We're not sure.
Yes.
So, so I think that like, the sun is another part that's really important to me. I need to have the sun. I need to be around plants. I could never live in a city away from water. I would
Mm.
literally shrivel up and die, I think.
Yeah. No kidding.
Mhm.
Because that's the impact of that realm, that species that had on your soul. So when we incarnate for the very first time, our soul was created for the very first time. We incarnated as one of these species. Could be a fairy, could be a human. He
Mhm.
could have jumped
We
right
have,
into the human
yep,
realm.
yep.
Yep,
We have a friend who incarnated first go into humanity. Bless her
into
heart.
humanity. Yeah, bless her heart, because I think that would be hard. Um, what other things can you incarnate in? Like, what are the other possibilities outside of fairy, outside of human and plant and animal, and like other things that are out there that maybe our listeners have never heard of or maybe briefly know?
Well, I mean, alien, right? What we perceive as alien being humans, right? I
Hmm.
mean, we know somebody who has been various types of aliens, and so that thought, technology, aliens do not worry this person at all, right? They're
Hmm.
just another species
Yeah.
coming for a visit. Let's open the door and let them in, right? Because the thing is that, like, and when we speak alien, cosmic beings that live in our cosmos with the stars, right? Not on this planet, being earthlings.
Yeah.
um, there's also various species of aliens.
Hmm.
It's funny when you think about being human. We all think that, oh, we're humans, we are like masters of the universe. We are just one species in a great big recipe book.
In a really big smorgasbord of a lot of species.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's amazing. Well,
Mhm.
I had no idea what I was. I could guess what my first incarnation is based on looking at me. I am small, little petite thing. So all signs point to fairy.
Right.
That's another, marker is that typically fairies are
Mhm.
little. I'm
Mhm.
little. But I had no idea until we channeled it last week that that was indeed my first incarnation was in as a fairy or in the fairy species in
Mhm.
inside of that. And I think that that's fascinating because I think there's little nuances. I mean, we all have our own personalities, and I'm assuming that every species has things that are a little bit different. They're not 100% exactly the same. But when I used to look at this conversation, I would doubt that I was a fairy because I'm not that big into water. I mean, I don't mind water, but I mean, I live in Alberta, so there is some lakes here, but I mean, I think people from other provinces in Canada are like, those aren't real lakes.
Right.
Right. So water has never really been a big thing for me. Even like going to the beach or whatever, I could care less about going into the water because it was cold. So I thought, there's no way that I'm a fairy, but in fact I am. But there's
Mhm.
other markers like the sun. Being out in nature, being in nature is really, really important to me. That's another marker of the fairy realm as well. All
Yeah.
these things.
Well, and the thing is, when we talk about fairy realm, okay, we're talking about like a system of fairies, right? So, and we're going to talk more about this, I know, in the future. So I'm not going to give it all away right now, but there's an entire infrastructure within that realm, just like the human realm, humanity, earth realm has its, rules and, ways of being and everything else. Fairy realm does too. And there are species within that realm. There's a lot going on within fairy realm. So I know we're going to talk about that, I think like next week or something. So I'll
Yes.
save those bits for next week, but so come back next week if you're interested in fae. But I think that when you look at each realm, you can see that sometimes there are multiple species within each realm. And when your soul incarnates the first time, that's its first marker of existence,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's usually the one that is the most poignant throughout the rest of its existence.
Because it's your
So
first.
it's your first.
It's
You
your
think
very
about your
first.
first kiss, you think about your first car, you think
Yes.
about all of these first things that you experience as a human. Your
Mm-hmm.
soul's going to have an imprint just the same as your brain would being human, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, I can feel the planet. I can feel the planet, I can feel the creatures on the planet, I can feel the plants. I can go out and connect with plants and trees and just know, like, are they happy, are they sad, what are they processing, how do they feel. I have a hibiscus right now that I got from a friend when we moved into our house, and it has been blooming like a maniac. And today I went out there and I was looking at it, and I was like, it had one flower, and I was like, oh, did it just run through its bloom cycle? And so I just sat there and I put my hands on the soil right where the roots were, and I was feeling into it. And I was like, it's time for you to get a bigger house. That pot's too
Aw.
small. Like it's feeling like squeezed by its enclosure. And I'm like, I'm going to get you a new pot. I promise I'm going to get you a new pot. Can you make it to the weekend? Let's, we'll get you a new pot. But it was like, I could feel this like, you know, tightening and constricting. And I was like, I just knew you need a new pot.
Mm-hmm.
It's wanting to continue to be beautiful and bloom, but it can't because it's being squeezed by its environment.
Yeah.
So I feel like, that's a really good indication that you are probably, you could be of fairy realm if you're able to actually assess and read the vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
You live on a farm.
I do.
Like, we're tiny. You live on a farm. We both have a little bit of land around us. And it's like, yeah,
Yep. Wide open
definitely to tell.
spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very interesting. And I think that this is it's important in the way that it's cool to know where you come from and why you like things the way that you do. And I really think that this opens up, our human brain, that mind piece, to see that this wasn't your first iteration, the way that you see yourself right now. And you may have had even thousands of iterations,
Yeah.
or
I
or
mean,
millions. I don't know.
maybe. I mean, the thing is, when you look at um incarnation, right?
Mhm.
And I'm going to throw that term around as just being like whenever your soul goes into a vessel of some kind.
Yeah.
You know, there are times that your soul goes into a vessel and it's very short.
Mhm.
There's times when your soul goes into a vessel and it's really long. And then there's times when you've gone into a vessel and the experience was so profound that you feel like you need to take a break and reassess, organize who's going to help you in the next vessel taking, and what experience you're going to have. When we were
Mhm.
channeling your soul's incarnations, you took like 200 and 300 year breaks sometimes. And
Mhm.
all I could think when we were doing that was, I wonder what happened that made her feel like she was like, okay, hold on, I need a minute to get my shit
Yes.
together. Right.
I need a break. Let's go on vacation. Yeah. What I also found interesting, for me, I think this is really cool. I started in the fairy realm, and then I went into the animal realm. Like I was a mouse, like small animals of some sort, and then I was a duck. And I thought that's so fascinating. And I know, when we channeled it, it was like a duck, really? But there was something really profound about that lifetime. Like I learned the reason for life, or the secret to life. I can't even remember what it was, but there was a profound knowledge that was gained in that lifetime. And then I decided to take a couple hundred years off. It was like, I don't know if I really want to go back. And we were talking about this choice on the other side. Our souls have the like have a purpose or a plan. We've talked about that, but you can say no. And then there's a series of my life, like 20 different iterations, when I came into being a human, where I wasn't on purpose or on plan. I was in a completely different purpose, but because I was so invested in the first lifetime, I
Mhm.
decided I want to go back because I wanted to finish that mission. Even though it wasn't the mission my soul had planned for me, it was kind of the opposite and not very productive whatsoever. There was a reason why I wanted, or I felt like I needed to come back over and over and over again for this other purpose. I kept denying the bigger purpose that my soul had, um which is so interesting, because we do have that choice to say yes, to say no within this lifetime. Even souls entering the human experience, the body, we've talked about this before, and this is interesting, that like when you are pregnant, when a baby comes in. So when does the soul come in? And is there choice there?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that when I don't think they say
Yeah.
when a soul chooses a vessel, and the soul chooses the vessel. The soul chooses a lot of things before the soul comes here. So
Mhm.
when the soul, let's back up before the soul chooses the vessel. When the soul is sitting there creating its plan, what does it want to do? How does it want this experience to go? It sits down with, high self, master guide, ascended master guide, whomever, puts the plan together, goes to creator and says, creator, this is what I want to do. Here's my plan. And creator goes, well, that sounds just fine. You're going to need support with that.
Mhm.
Who's going to sign up to help have this soul have this experience and this experience and that experience? And people are, souls are raising their hands going, oh yeah, I'll do it. Oh yeah, why not? And so they may come in purely to die 10 seconds after the incarnation, right?
Mhm.
So that all happens, and that is all the soul's choice. So again, this comes to like kind of like free will choice on the other side. So once this has been decided and the soul's like, okay, great, I got my plan, I got my peeps, I know what I'm doing. Now that person who's going to bring that soul in could be on the other side with the soul that wants to come in. So
Mhm.
that soul has to be born, raised, grown, and then birth this soul, right? Birth the vessel that this soul is going to ride around in.
Yep.
So, it could be, 20 years before that soul actually gets to execute its plan. Now, that soul could go, I don't want to wait for somebody that's over here. I want to get in there right now.
Mhm.
Who's available down there that I can go ahead and come in through, right?
Yep.
Souls come through you, not to you. So
Ooh, whoa, you got to say that again because that's powerful.
souls come through you, not to you. So all the mamas on here I know right now are probably just gritting their teeth, ready to punch me in the eyeball. But it's true. It's true, right? So they look and they go, her, those two, that couple, I choose them. I'll come in through them.
Yeah.
And so miracles happen, a vessel's created, right?
Yeah.
Now, when the soul has chosen the humans and souls that are going to raise them, and the vessel is being created, around 40-45 days, the soul says, okay, yeah, I'll jump into that vessel and we'll just see how it goes. So they will go ahead and enter the vessel. Okay. And we're using the term vessel because we're going to like take the human piece out of it for just a minute. So they will enter that vessel and they will kind of sit in it and see how it feels and if they like it and how it's going. And they learn a lot of information from the cells that the vessel is made of. Are there going to be issues with this vessel? Because remember,
Right.
there's is a soul, it's a divine being.
Mhm.
It is divinity inside of a flesh and blood vessel, right? So it's sitting in there, it's receiving all this information, and then it's like, am I in or am I out?
Yeah.
And by, somewhere around, 84 to 90 days, the soul has to make a decision, and it
Right. Do I
decides
stay
whether
or do I go?
do I stay or do I go?
Yeah.
And so if it stays, life is created, baby's born, soul is got its fancy new meat suit, and off to the races it goes with its plan, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If the soul decides that it doesn't like the vessel, the soul has the opportunity to exit the vessel. And
Yeah.
so this can result in miscarriage. It can result in stillborn. It can result in a lot of different things.
Mhm.
The thing to remember is that the vessel, and we're speaking of humans here, the vessel is human biology.
Mm.
The physical body is going to continue to nurture and grow the vessel because that's its job,
Yeah.
whether there's a soul in it or not.
Yeah.
So when a woman has a miscarriage or a stillborn, it is simply that perhaps the vessel wasn't satisfactory for the magical soul that's trying to come in.
Yeah.
A better vessel needs to be created.
Yeah.
So I myself personally have had a couple miscarriages,
Mhm.
and both of them equally traumatizing. You know, I know that you've got some stuff in your past with miscarriage, and it's a really painful topic
Yeah.
because you think about it. One, I was so close to having my little magical angel,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And then it's like, but the vessel wasn't good enough.
Mhm.
And if you look at it from the aspect of the vessel wasn't good enough, doesn't it kind of make you wonder what magical thing is trying to come in? Like, who is this amazing soul, right?
Yes.
It
Yes.
needs an epic body.
You know what's crazy? As if by chance, and I say that cheeky because nothing is by chance. It all happens on purpose. When I was getting ready for our live today, I was just scrolling through TikTok and whatever, right? And this one lady was telling a story about how she was channeling for somebody, and that this individual's mother had a miscarriage before having her, and so they were going to try and connect with the person's sister or brother, their sibling, and there was no connection there. And they dived into it a little bit more, and it was in fact that the vessel that was provided couldn't hold the energy that this soul had coming with it, the purpose that they had, all of the stuff that it needed to do. This vessel wasn't prepared for that or couldn't contain that, and so it aborted, and then she came in with this new body, and that does make me think, wow, we got some powerful babies coming in here.
Yeah. And the thing is that these souls that are coming in, these souls are new earth souls.
Yeah.
So, last week we talked about New Earth. We talked about what it is. We talked about kind of how it was created. We talked about the density, the vibration that it resides at, and how high level that experience truly is.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, those of us that are to bring in these souls, we have to be capable of of encompassing that energy, because for 10 months they're inside our physical bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So our physical bodies have to be able to support and nurture that type of massiveness inside. Massiveness, I don't even know, is that a word? um
I don't know.
you know so I think that it's really fascinating, how much more magic there is around the soul
Mm-hmm.
than even in physicality.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the physicality can't support the soul won't choose it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just changes things when you start to take a step back, because I think we all get into this frame of mind or this stance with our lives of like, I am here, this is all there is to it, the four walls that are around me, the stuff that I see, the car that I drive, whatever. And we think of like our experiences within this one lifetime, and it's not just this one lifetime, and it's not even just one, you know one type of experience, because I imagine being a duck is very different than being a human. And for me, when we were channeling the course of my life, it was so interesting because I've had so many lifetimes, and I'm not even the oldest one of the two of us, you know. Your soul is older than mine, so I wish we would have done this for you. And then our friend that we were doing it with, her soul is older than both of ours, which
Yeah, she
is
trumps us by thousands of years.
by thousands of years. but
Mhm.
it, but it was insane to see just the different I guess beings, vessels, if we want to call it that, that my soul has embodied, and the reasons why. Like at one point I was an alien, and to learn different technology, and all of this is coming to play, I believe, for the bigger purpose.
Right.
Because I believe my purpose that I have right now in this lifetime, and maybe that's not how it works for everyone. I'm not sure, we could ask that question. But for me, I think my purpose has stayed steadfast throughout every single iteration over those thousands of years, or however long it has been, and however many iterations of my soul there has been that purpose. Not that I said yes to it in every lifetime, because I definitely did not. But I think that's
Yeah.
fascinating. It just
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you're really like I completely agree with you. I think that I think for most souls that are coming in to create evoke great change, okay, ones that have huge purpose,
yep.
they are conditioning themselves in every lifetime to be able to get it done. You know, when we were talking about New Earth last week and everything that Quinn has done to create this, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has attempted this in every lifetime. And in every lifetime, he destructs the program because it's not right. He doesn't like it. There's something wrong. He doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, it needs to change. So what does he do? He demolishes it, rips up his notes, and he starts again from scratch every single time, over and over and over again. And you know what's really crazy? He does this in his regular life. Like he'll try something, and if he doesn't get it right, he just trashes it and starts completely over again.
Wow.
It's like this weird ingrained thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I really think that if you take a step back and you kind of look at like how you are and who you are and your mannerisms and the way that you kind of are, a lot of that is very telling of
Mm-hmm.
who your soul is inside.
Mm-hmm.
Like anyone who's ever like talked to, channeled, whatever, my high self knows that she is absolutely a fairy. She's tiny, she zips around, she talks really fast, she's super bubbly, she's like everything is a party, she is just a very excitable person.
Yeah.
And anyone who knows me personally in my private life knows that I am totally that. you know, I now don't get me wrong, I do like Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
Okay, I do like that. But I'm a very, I'm pretty upbeat. I'm always happy.
Mm-hmm.
I love to kind of flit around and do whatever, and la la la, that is kind of my jam. And and that is just like really just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
you know this seriousness, this Capricorn seriousness of me is is my incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
It's the platter in which I was served on.
Mm-hmm.
you know so I'm not sure where I was going with that, but there you go.
What downloaded as we were talking as well is this question of who am I? You know, in terms of like, who am I to do something great in this lifetime? Because we've all been, plagued with that question of like, who am I to teach what I am teaching? Or who am I, this imposter syndrome? And what this really solidifies for me is I'm the one that has gone through thousands of lifetimes to learn this shit.
That's right.
And that's who you are. That's,
Mm-hmm.
you've had many iterations, most likely, of trying to bring to fruition whatever you're bringing to fruition. So the things that feel within your soul, like resonate within your soul as truth, and you understand them at that deep, deep level, it's because this is not your first rodeo. This is not
Mm-hmm.
the first time that you've seen it or heard it or understood it or whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
many lifetimes that you're coming back to this. And I think that is beautiful. So if anyone's struggling with that imposter syndrome of who am I, you are a soul that is divinity.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And and that really is the thing, right? Is that, you know, when I first started my spiritual business, I went through this whole sort of, I don't know, almost like a weird fear of, even though I know who I am and I know that I'm capable and I know that I am just truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clarity. Like that is me. Even though I know that about me, there is still that human aspect of, like, who am I to say? You
Mm-hmm.
know, like what am I to say about this? And I had somebody ask me, Heather, when you start getting interviewed, how are you going to answer the question of how did you get into this? And I'm like, well, I've been doing this in every lifetime. So, like, where do I begin?
Mm-hmm.
And this person wanted me to give them an exact time in this lifetime that I got into this. And I'm like, I've always been this. I have
Mm-hmm.
always been this. This has always been me. This soul has been doing this in every single iteration on various realms, in different planets, all over the place. This is what I have done. I've always been a direct connection to God for communication with all beings, right? Always.
Yeah.
So, how do I articulate that in an interview? I've just always been this,
I've
right?
always been this way. Yeah.
I've always been this way. I've
Yeah.
had multiple lifetimes of experience
Mm-hmm.
communicating with other beings to bridge the gap of oneness,
Yeah.
to help people understand they're not alone, they have a support team, they're here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
What is that reason? Let's get you closer to that reason. Like, it's always been this.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I did it for kings and queens, and sometimes they killed me for it. Okay, well, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Oh
you
boy.
know, Mhm.
And I mean, you have to deal with all of that stuff when it comes up too. I mean,
Right.
but there was all reasons for it. I mean, maybe you have better protections today because of that.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of this conversation comes from a place of ego, trying to keep ourselves small and safe. And, who am I to think that I am great?
Right.
Well, you're made by a divine creator, and you are, a piece of God.
Mhm.
That therefore that makes you great in my
You are
books.
God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
absolutely. I think you should answer the question. I've just always been this way. Many
I've just always been this
lifetimes.
way.
Yeah, many lifetimes of
Uh-huh.
doing this
Yeah.
brings you here. It's just, yeah, amazing. Um, Oh, hello. Someone just jumped in that was a little bit late to the party. If you guys have questions, pop them in the chat. We're running on the last kind of 10-ish, 12-ish minutes here. So if you guys have questions, pop them in the chat there.
Yeah. Or
I'm
anything you'd like to share. I mean,
Yeah,
type the word share and what it is that you'd like to share, and we'll share it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think it's just so fascinating that, you know, looking at my life, my lifetimes that my soul has been through, and the different iterations. Like the duck really just gets me. The alien really gets me. Fairy makes sense, but those other things, I'm like, what, a duck? Like, and no, Vicky, it wasn't. Do worms taste good? I'm sure worms did taste good at that time, but it was something very profound about love and being connected. And I looked for it just now, but I actually didn't write it down. And but I think it's so interesting, and it's actually humbling for me to know that this soul has been going on this journey for so many lifetimes, and that I have this knowledge that I can also tap into from other lifetimes. And I knew that before this point, but right now in this moment it feels way more real and way more expansive than before. It's not just this iteration, this 36-year-old that sits before you that's 5'1". That's not it, or not only it. That is a piece of the bigger picture, and that's beautiful.
Definitely. And I think when you're kind of like absorbing the fact that you've had multiple iterations, and you
Mhm.
may have even more iterations in, the timelines, right? Which we won't get into timeline. It's not actually this way, it's this way, but let's just, for timeline's sake, in human form, you have additional lifetimes coming down the road, right? So when you're taking this all in, that you have done this multiple times and you potentially have more times on the horizon, you don't have to feel bad if you don't get it done.
Mhm. You can
You
see
do
that
what you
there's really
can.
lots of time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Time is a man-made construct.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually exist.
Yes. And even when you think it's your last lifetime, it might not be. We have a friend, when we were channeling all this information, her last lifetime was supposed to be the last lifetime, but she decided, she wanted to be here to help us collectively, Heather and I, on our missions throughout this lifetime. So she came back. What a great friend.
What a great friend.
What a great friend. That's
She's
also
either a great
something.
friend or she's a glutton for punishment, one of the two. No.
That's right. So true. I think she's just a great friend and
Yeah.
a pillar that
Mhm.
holds us up. But I was gonna say something. Oh man, I just lost it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Um,
I
yeah.
think you were going to talk about her coming in, and she was, her time was up. Now she's here on borrowed time to help us.
Hmm.
And I think that that's really beautiful. That's a wonderful opportunity that you have to, again, the free will, like, you still get some choice on the other side.
Yeah.
you know she maybe had a plan to ascend to something else, to do a different type of job.
Yeah.
And instead she said, oh man, those two, they're going to be floundering without me. I better just go.
Exactly. What I was going to say is it's interesting looking at all this information, and that's something else that we had channeled. The three of us had come together in a previous iteration, as a different species, as the fairy species. um and that was the first time that we met, and then we were in each other's lives from there. So it makes sense when you meet other souls on this timeline and on this plane that feel like you've known them forever. It's probably because you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, I think it's really beautiful how much opportunity is really there.
Mhm.
Opportunity on a soul level, opportunity on a human level, opportunity in various species, realms.
Mhm.
There's a lot of opportunity everywhere. And so, you know, if you feel like, things aren't going your way, or things are just, just maybe aren't exactly what you had planned, just wait 5 minutes and it's going to change.
Mhm.
because the opportunity is continuously evolving. And if you need support and you need, reinforcements, you call them in. Be like, yo, God, hey, I need these three things. Please bring me the things, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
We're going to talk about that more next month, asking for support.
definitely. Yeah, we got a
Yes.
good agenda signed up for next month. I think that's going to be a
Yeah.
pow,
And
pow, pow.
yeah, and the rest of this month too, which
Exactly.
which is exciting. For me, this conversation really solidified how special each and every soul is, how powerful each and every soul is, and reminded me of the vastness of the universe. And I hope that's what you guys listening to this conversation are picking up as well, is, not that you're small and insignificant, but that there is so much out there that you are connected to, and so much that you've been through to bring you to this point in your life, in your soul's incarnations or iterations over thousands of years. And that is special and divine, and you are exactly where you're supposed to be. I truly believe that.
Agreed.
Agreed.
100%.
100%. Vicky said she felt that way when she met you, Heather, that, you were somebody that you guys had known each other for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely say the same.
Yeah, yeah. The way in which Vicky and I met was really, it was truly just divinely orchestrated. So, I had a business in a building, and she was not a client of mine. She was a client of another person. And that person moved into my building, ran her business, and then moved away and closed her business. And when she closed her business, she referred her client base to me
Mm.
because I was her support person. I was the one she saw. And so she referred her clients to me. And that is how I met Vicky. And there's a whole story around, Vicky and how our relationship evolved and where our relationship is today and how it's just so intertwined together. And I think it's really beautiful how everything fell right into place
Mm-hmm.
so that I could experience the things that I came here to experience, and so that I could be reunited with my soul family members, like Vicky.
Like Vicky. Yeah.
And like you, and
Yeah.
probably every person who's on and listening to this right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we are all attracted to one another because we know each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've
We're
met.
not strangers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have history.
That's right.
Yeah.
Vast history. We go way back.
Literally thousands
Mhm.
of years, potentially.
Potentially. Exactly.
Potentially. Oh man, what a beautiful conversation. Um, you know, Heather, is this something that you do for your clients when you work with them as a trans channeler, as helping people, find their purpose and everything like that? Does this come up in your work, like where your soul originated?
Sometimes it does, sometimes. It depends on, when I have a session with somebody, when I have a session with somebody, whether it be just kind of a one-off session or whether they're working with me privately one-on-one. Obviously, if they're working with me privately one-on-one, I do a very thorough investigation of their soul. I access their Akashic records. I see, where things have affected them. I look to see if there's anything that needs to be healed or cleared away in order for
Mhm.
us to work effectively together. And that is so that our working relationship will be effective. When I have a client, in particularly that, like, one-on-one environment, if they're struggling through something, I start really like diving into their past lives, and I start looking at, why is this a thing now? Like,
Yeah.
what do we need to do to heal this right now so that they can live their like most, amazing life experience in this lifetime?
Yeah.
How can I get them to be the most expansive iteration of them this time, more than any other lifetime? I want it now in this lifetime. So
Yeah.
I go behind the scenes and I clear things up and I work things through. And sometimes I have to bring the client into it and say, okay, look, we're going to go look at this lifetime. I'm going to take you on this meditation. I'm going to guide you through it. I'm going to help you heal this piece so that it can just dissolve to love, or it can come with you in your heart space. And and it's no longer going to be an issue for you moving forward. Now, in
Mhm.
a one on in a like a one-off, channeling session, we can't go that deep because it takes a lot of trust and sometimes time working together
Yeah.
for the human before me to be able to do that type of work. But even in a one-off session, sometimes you can learn, where you came from, who you are, what are you here for, like, what is your purpose? Like, all of that information is right here on a platter, ready to be served up. You just have to ask the question.
Yeah. So if you're wondering, what your soul's original origin was, or your purpose or anything, you need to talk to Heather. She will be able to put you into, connection with all of that information very easily with her trans
Yeah.
channeling sessions. Absolutely. When I had that happen for me with you, my first session with you, I was like, oh my God, mind blown. And it's an evolution, like learning this information where my soul, I didn't even know until last week that originated as a fairy. That never came up in our channeling sessions when I was working with you, but other things along my path, how this has always been my purpose, has come up. How my husband, and I first originally met, that stuff had come up in previous sessions. So it's really, really cool to see, utilizing your gift to find out this vast amount of information and knowledge. And yeah, it's just a beautiful gift you have, Heather.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
amazing.
I think that it is really fun to find out about yourself. Who doesn't like to hear about themselves, and where they've been and what they've done, and who they are to become. And yeah, it's just a really fun process. And even if it's crazy, it's still fun. I'm here for it. I think it's fantastic.
100%. It's very eye opening. That's for sure. So if you're looking for more information on your purpose, definitely reach out to Heather, and get on a session right away. Because why wait? Because stuff is so amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
Speaking of channeling, next week, next week, Heather and I are going to channel. I don't think we're going to trans channel. And we hadn't talked about that. So maybe stay tuned for that. There may be some trans channeling involved, but we are going to channel some beings of the Fae and see what kind of message they have for humanity, what they want to tell us, any tips or maybe solutions or whatever it is, as they watch everything that's unfolding here in this timeline for humanity. We're going to ask them to weigh in and give us advice for humanity. So that's coming up next week. If you've liked our episode today, definitely share it. Use that like button. It's just a little click. That's all, just a little click that goes a long way. And we just appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and we're really excited to share more about the origins of our souls and what they have to say with you guys next week. Is there anything you want to add, Heather?
I don't think so. Just hit the like button, subscribe. We're trying to grow our viewership so that we can get a custom URL. So we're not too far off. So if you know somebody who might enjoy the content here, send them our way. Ask them to subscribe, and the notification bell tells you when we're on. We go live, and then we do post this video after the fact, in case you miss us. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Amazing. Well, thanks
and
everyone for
welcome to the
showing up.
community.
Yeah. Welcome to the community. Yes. Thanks for showing up today. We appreciate you guys, and we hope that you have a wonderful week. And until next week, you know, stay connected, stay, in a place of positivity, in a place of hope, and realize really how special you are, because you are, and we're excited to bring more to you next week.
Yay.
Yay.
Bye.